There is safe passage through the deadly sands, but only those who hear and follow the siren's song will discover it. You must find the sirens, Kratos. Only they can guide you to Kronos. Stay true to the song of the siren, Kratos. Your journey begins here. Pray it leads you back to Athens with Pandora's box.
Hey, what's going on all my fellow godlies and Warframe enthusiasts around the world? This is Vance from the ever-popular web series Warframe God Builds, and it seems like it's been forever since I've done a ReForged, and what better way to get back into the swing of things by leaving it up to you guys who you wanted to see first, Banshee or Zephyr. And for a while there it was quite a struggle between Zephyr and Banshee, but Banshee reigned supreme, so here we are. And I've got to say, there are a few things keeping Banshee from my level of expectations when it comes to a god builds. There's some mechanics that may need to be tweaked, and some sentinels that need to be looked at again by Digital Extremes. But other than that, the damage that she puts out is amazing. You will definitely love the results I have found here. So let's just jump straight into it. Now, it's been a while since I covered anything Banshee related, so I have no idea what I was running with before, but I know for a fact that we're going to go with Growing Power, Speed Drift, Intensify, Augur Reach, Fleeting Expertise, Vitality, Resonance, Resonating Quake, Stretch, and Prime Continuity. Power Strength isn't that big of a deal here. You just want to have like a positive 30%. It's I mean, in other builds it's going to be more prominent, but here it's just not needed because our weapons are going to do what our powers lack. With duration, again, that's really not that big of an issue. I kind of steady it out here with Prime Continuity, even though Fleeting Expertise is going to take away from our duration. Again, no big deal. Also, what you'll see here is Arcanes. I have not supported Arcanes in a hot minute, specifically because the raids were shit. But now, because you can Eidolon hunt, they're actually worth it. So with Arcane Grace, on damage you have a 1.5% chance for 1% health regeneration per second for 1.55. Now when this is completely ranked up, you'll get a 6% chance for 4% health regeneration per second for 6 seconds. That's really, really nice. On top of that, I'm going to put on Arcane Victory, which deals 8% chance for 2% health regeneration per second for 8 seconds once that's maxed out. Arcane Victory implies that you gotta have a headshot, so I mean that's going to be pretty easy to do with the loadout that I'm recommending. You can use really anything you want, but the best things I have found here are the Prisma Gurkata. This weapon has always excelled, and when I say always, I mean from day one this weapon has been amazing, and that's why I'm choosing to use it with my Banshee, because it does have a low amount of ammo, but that's fine because we can take out enemies in a heartbeat. Even the level 150 heavy gunners get completely decimated. I'm using Serration, Split Chamber, Vital Sense, Thermite Rounds, High Voltage, Malignant Force, and Speed Trigger. All in all, this build should be easy to put together, but I also have a Riven here with Critical Chance, Multi-Shot, and Fire Rate. I would suggest any Riven, really, and you don't even have to have a Riven at all. This weapon is just amazing. It's perfect for your moments when you highlight the enemies and open them up to additional damage. You'll see in the footage. Now my secondaries really aren't worth mentioning. Staticore, I've only ever used these things to knock enemies down in the past, and that's exactly what I'm doing with this build as well, is in tight situations where I may turn the corner and there could be an enemy that has the potential to one-shot me. I'm really only using static ore so that I can sweep them off their feet and then finish them off with my melee, which is the Vanka Prime, and I've covered this before, so I shouldn't have to go into it now. I'll just give you a look over the build and carry on. Now, the one thing that I wanted to talk about extensively was the Prisma Shade. It's in definite need of a look by Digital Extremes. The Ghost mod cloaks owner when enemies are within 10 meters. The cloak is disrupted if the owner attacks. This is not working properly. In fact, what happens is you get close enough to enemies, and when you should be cloaked, you're not. Prisma Shade leaves you too vulnerable too often. Otherwise, this Sentinel would be perfect for Banshee, because it encompasses that you stay cloaked as long as you're close to enemies and not using your weapons. One offensive ability that I noticed that seems to uncloak you is your first ability. When you cast that, for whatever the reason, Prisma Shade just drops you out of invisibility. I think that that's rather bullshit, but if in the event that Digital Extremes does have a look at Shade and reworks it, then this should not be an issue that persists in the future. So we'll remain hopeful about that and continue to use this in the loadout, because when it does work, it's beautiful, because it's like using Loki or Ashe or Octavia, Avara, anyone who goes invisible. It's like using their abilities. I mean, when you're not seen, you're not damaged. So now the only other thing that I really wanted to talk about for a little bit was the silence ability. Using silence surrounds Banshee in an aura that stuns enemies and will limit their perceptions and tactical responses to gunfire and Warframe attacks. That would be nice if it did everything that it said it would do better. It does stun lock your enemies for a limited time. That time frame is not nearly enough to get anything done with. And the fact that once they're done being stun locked, they'll just go right back to shooting you is a definitive problem for Banshee, because Banshee is really squishy. I mean, she's been reworked recently, and it put her in a really good place, swapping her ult from like an exalted form to just a one cast ability, which is great. It's a well-needed change. I really praise Digital Extremes for doing that. However, it doesn't really help Banshee at all that she can't take a hit at all, especially in, you know, anywhere from level 100 to level 150 plus leveled enemies. She'll just go down very quickly. And so my recommendation here is that silence get a buff. Not everything in this not everything in her repertoire. It's fine that all the abilities stay where they're at, but with silence in particular, I would recommend that Digital Extremes make enemies stay stun locked for a little bit longer. And on top of that, when they get out of the stun lock animation, they become disoriented and their aim is significantly reduced. Let's bring their hits landed versus hits missed down to like a 20 to 30%, and that number should maybe decrease by 2 per 5 levels of enemy units. I think that might be a good solution. I don't know. It may require some testing, but I mean, I'm not impartial to having the community playtest the spearheaded updates that come out. There definitely should be a test server in which Digital Extremes puts out the latest updates that are subject to change before they actually go into the live game. But all in all, that makes up the entirety of this loadout, and it's the sole reason why Banshee is still regarded as a god build, even though her defenses are pretty bad. and it's going to be a problem regardless until some critical issues are resolved. But until then, let's hope that you have fun killing this shit out of everything in sight. And until next time, this has been Vance, signing out. Peace.